Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take It from the Iron Woman. In the month of March, we only have women guests, and today we go to Argentina. We have Mariana with us. Mariana is an international relations professional with 2 decades of experience in diplomatic and tourism sector. She's expert in intercultural communication and developing lasting relationships to maximize results. She combines research and experience to develop and implement up-to-date practices in the tourism sector. She works across all sectors, public and private, and with all enterprises, small and large. Welcome, Mariana. Introduce yourself.
Hi, Susanne. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be talking to you. And well, as you mentioned, I've been working in international relations for quite some time now. My experience goes from the diplomatic area, where I was an assistant for many years in Buenos Aires, working at an embassy. There was quite a great intercultural experience for me because I worked for an Asian Muslim country with a lot of cultures within the country. It was super interesting to have that mix at work. And that was sort of where I discovered that I really like to work on interconnections and getting people to understand each other, even though sometimes we have different cultural backgrounds. Then I moved into the tourism industry, specifically the adventure travel industry, because I wasn't particularly interested in travel and tourism at the beginning. But then I discovered this very specific niche that I really loved because it combines adventure. And adventure is quite interrelated with opening your mind, because you are constantly challenging yourself to climb a mountain, to travel to a remote destination that perhaps you don't speak the language, you don't know anything about these remote places and the way of living. I really found my place in this company. I partnered with an Italian adventurer. He founded the company in 2004. I joined in 2008. We've been working together since then. The company grew. I took the management for a few years. And then I decided to keep moving. I'm quite curious and I like to be dynamic. The company is working and we have a new manager, and I opened a new area in the company for consulting. And I'm particularly interested in women leadership and career development, sort of not only for women, but trying to create better working environments and see what I can do in that area. This is a new challenge.
Everything to me is an adventure. I have done Ironman, marathon, climbed Kilimanjaro. I think it's opening up your point of view, your global view that you have.
Yes, I think that we're moving towards that. And I think we need that in the world right now, especially right now, that connection that goes beyond our differences. That's why I really like working in this area, because there is a relationship between people moving around to go on these kind of adventures. It's not the same as just sightseeing or traveling very fast to a country's capital and then you never move from there. This is something else. It brings back the spirit of exploration, of curiosity, of really opening your mind to other customs, to things that maybe to you are not important, but in other cultures are. The discourse that we have about trying to disconnect because of all the technology, because we are constantly immersed in this connected world. But I think it can bring us balance going into adventures, even if it's a small adventure, and it can also help you. Well, like you said, also on the side of sports, challenging yourself as a person in the physical aspect and mind aspect. That is a very good conjunction to think about business, about adventure. That's why when I heard that you wrote this book, I was so interested, because I can see the relation there.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually super interested in that topic, the combination between the business and the sports. It's totally interrelated. And the more we think about it, and especially in today's times, people need to be outdoors. We should not be connected, glued to the computer all the time. That adventure spirit needs to be awakened again.
Actually, our consulting area started by training guides, because we've been training adventure travel guides for many years. We used to do it in company. And then we decided to open up, because we had done some events for outside of the company, but only a few. And then we decided to really move forward, and we partnered with other guide trainers from around the world to bring these courses. And we discuss a lot of that on the role of the guide. And that's where we also bring in the aspect of gender equality, because some areas in tourism are more male dominated. We don't have so many women adventure guides. And this is a movement that you can see in many places in the world. Different companies are making an effort to work on that, to improve the conditions for women to stay. We have in our industry, since in tourism, you have to work weekends, holidays. When everybody is resting, you're working. Sometimes with the family life, it can be a little bit complicated. Mm-hmm. So that's the work that needs to be done. We need to improve this in our industry, so that every worker at every level, they don't have to leave the industry, because sometimes it happens that only young people stay because it doesn't matter what time you come back home. It doesn't, mm-hmm. You are full-time at your job. But I think that we need to move to something more balanced, so that we can have older people also in the industry and having that work-life balance.
And what's going to happen on March 21st, 22nd, and 23rd? I think this is your passion project.
Yes, this is something that I'm really working on it, because it's something that I see that is missing, and we're putting a lot of effort into bringing this workshop together. It's a 3-day workshop focused on women leadership. We're going to talk about communication skills, about personal branding, networking, about unconscious gender bias, just to give women some tools on how to implement certain policies, in-company policies, and also how professional women can bring up these subjects, because they can be uncomfortable subjects. Sometimes you end up, as you advance in your career, sometimes you end up in places that you feel like you can't complain because you made it that far, and it's like, I'm strong, I cannot. And so we're trying to leave that uncomfortable space, and to have the words, and to have some content that we can support women to say, you're right, that shouldn't be like that. It doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice everything. It doesn't mean that you have to work twice as the rest just to climb up in the ladder. We're trying to bring up these skills that we consider that can be helpful. And the idea is to give the tools to the women that will come to the workshop, so that they can keep developing these skills or find a career path. Because sometimes it's just a little help, a little push to help you see where you need to go. I bring all this also from my experience, because I had a lot of help along the way from different professionals, from my business coach. I think it's people that I didn't look for them, but I was lucky enough to have all these people around me to help me with my career. Otherwise, maybe I wouldn't have gotten very far, because you need these mentors, and you need sponsorship, some coaching sometimes. And that's the tools that we want to give to the women that will attend the workshop.
Obviously, mentoring and coaching is very dear to my heart. And you mentioned you had role models, mentors, coaches. Tell us a little more.
It was a whole process. Sometimes when I was younger, I started to work very young. I think that because I was the junior person in my work area, naturally people wanted to mentor me. I look back and I was 18, 19 years old, and I was taking on tasks that were really for a professional, and I was still in university studying, but they could see something or some potential, but they knew I needed help. I think I was lucky in that sense that at the beginning it was naturally from different people that were my bosses at the time, that even to this day, they will put a good word for me, that we work together, or every time I do something, they'll be like, I'm so proud of you. I'm glad that you got this far. And because those relationships are for life. It doesn't matter if you change jobs. And then in my latest position, the biggest challenge I had, it was to manage the company, like full-time manage a lot of people, a lot of operations, logistics, because this is a company that runs a very complex expeditions in the desert for National Geographic, logistics for NASA scientists. So this is like very complex things. I had a baby in the middle, so I really needed help managing all that. And then we hired a consultant, and it was like the best decision ever, because like it happens in small companies. Sometimes we run like a family-owned business, which if you're a coach, you might know your clients that have this characteristic. We made the decision to, as the company grew, we created a board, which our coach helped us create. And this was the tool that gave me the chance to keep going on my career. I went back to study because I really wanted to do more things. And this is my space. I can still be involved in the company, but not in the day-to-day operations. And that was because we hired someone to help us. Otherwise, I don't know if you don't want to let go when you did something that you created for many years. It's like your baby.
Yeah.
Delegation is something.
Talking about delegation, it sounds like you create something and then you have to let go. How was that for you?
No, it was super, super hard. But I think it's a matter of trust. Fundamental to have the advisor, the coach, and also my business partners, because we have a new business partner now. I think it's an evolution of the company, I like to say. I think that you need to be clear is that you can do anything alone. You will always do more if you work as a team.
You mentioned so many great details. We can only learn from you. So it's about first you create something, and then it's about delegation, and then trust. You mentioned trust is so important, and then working with a team.
We were able to create a culture of work, and a culture that we can feel confident that someone new can come into the team. They will get it. They will get how the company works, the standards, the quality.
And it sounds, now that it seems completed, it seems so easy. What are challenges that you have seen that we learn from you?
Well, I think first is that you will make mistakes along the way. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. I developed this sort of antenna for risk. I think you have to create this sort of bubble of where you can move without reaching that risk bubble that you have to create, so that you have a space where you can move, because you have to take some risk. It cannot be super high because then you can lose everything. Mm-hmm. But some little risks you have to take along the way. And this means that some things that you create are not going to work. Then you have to develop a lot of strategy, because
trial and error, yes.
How you learn, because if you are creating something that is new, that there is not another company that does the same thing that you do. This is this sort of startup that you are not just like doing a mimic or something else that you can do, but it's a different story. For this part, I think is that, and then the passion that you put on it, because in order to survive failure, things that sometimes don't go like 100% like you want, then maybe it takes years until you perfect something that goes the way it should be. A lot of perseverance and a passion for that, because if you get tired, you get bored, you don't like it anymore.
I love all those words. So passion, hard work. I think a lot of people think like, oh, an adventure company sounds cool, easy. It's hard work. If it looks perfect, it's hard work and hard energy. Well, thank you so much, Mariana. This was exciting. I want to go on an adventure with you. But first of all, I want to wish you good luck for that huge event, March 21st, 22nd, and 23rd.
Thank you, Susanne. Thank you so much for having me.
What are you taking away? Take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday, every Wednesday. There's something for everybody. In the month of March, we only have women guests. Make sure to follow all those fantastic women. And Take It from the Iron Woman started out as a book, Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. Thank you so much for your support and see you next time.